They watched with cruel delight as the VIP donor lifted a bottle of expensive wine and poured it over the black woman's head, treating her like an unwanted stain in the room. But what they didn't know was that in seconds, the woman they were laughing at would destroy their entire power circle with a single sentence. The Crystal Crest auction was a place where power dressed itself in diamonds and pretended to care about charity. The ballroom was filled with wealthy donors, eager to show off their status rather than their kindness. In the center, under a massive chandelier, stood items worth millions, paintings, artifacts, and history itself, all for sale to the highest egos. Into this world walked Ava Sinclair. She was alone. She didn't arrive with bodyguards or photographers. She didn't need noise to prove her importance. She simply scanned the room with total confidence and walked toward the front row. But just as she began to move, a security guard stepped in her way. "Public seating is in the back," he said. Ava didn't argue. She simply stated, "I am seated at table 1. He laughed as if she had told a joke. "Only VIPs sit there," he scoffed. "Billionaires, board members. You should verify instead of assume." But in this room, assumptions were the only currency that mattered. He waved her off, telling her to find an empty chair somewhere else. Ava ignored him and continued forward anyway. She was about to reveal a secret that would shatter their reality, but first, she had to face the most dangerous woman in the room. Lydia Ashford, the auction's most glamorous and arrogant donor, noticed Ava immediately. Lydia lived for attention and hated anyone she saw as beneath her. She stepped directly into Ava's path. "Excuse me," Lydia said, her voice loud enough to entertain the nearby crowd. "This is an exclusive event. You must be lost." A ripple of giggles followed her words. Ava remained calm. "No," she said. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Lydia scoffed. "Security! Remove this woman. She's cluttering the VIP area." But before security could act, an attendant revealed Ava's place card. It read VIP seat A1, right beside Lydia's. Confusion scratched across Lydia's face, followed quickly by irritation. She sat down aggressively and whispered to her table. She must have stolen that card. Phones lifted subtly around the room. Everyone loved a humiliation scene. The auctioneer began announcing bids. Ava raised her paddle. 600,000. 700. 750. The room grew tense. When Ava placed a final bid double the others, Lydia's smile twitched. She stood up, grabbed a bottle of premium wine, and with a wicked grin, tilted it. The wine rushed down Ava's face like a waterfall of hate. Gasps, laughter, and recordings filled the air. "Oops," Lydia sang. "Look what you made me do. That bottle costs more than your life savings." Ava did not move. She did not wipe the humiliation from her skin. She simply emptied her paddle again and said, "Continue the auction." The auctioneer hesitated. Lydia pressed harder. "She shouldn't even be here. Stop indulging this fraud." Security closed in, and the crowd leaned forward. The camera zoomed closer as the humiliation reached its peak. Ava slowly placed her bag on the table. "Before you remove me," she said, her voice steady and commanding, "verify who owns this auction." Lydia groaned. "There she goes. Imaginary titles." But the auctioneer's assistant checked the sponsor ledger just to silence the moment. Her eyes widened, then widened further. She handed a file to the auctioneer with trembling hands. The microphone cracked as his voice faltered. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "we appear to have a critical oversight." A hush spread across the room. "Ava Sinclair is the principal owner of the Crystal Crest Auction Foundation." Silence suffocated the room. Lydia blinked. "That's impossible," she said. "I've been the face of this event for 8 years." Ava looked directly into her eyes. "Faces can be replaced." The assistant read further. "She has also donated the single highest contribution in this organization's history." Security stepped back immediately. Lydia's frustration turned into panic. "This is some kind of mistake," she stammered. Ava finally stood up. The entire room stood with her, frozen. You poured wine on the woman funding every scholarship represented here, Ava said. You mocked the person safeguarding the artifacts you pretend to care about. You laughed while humiliating the founder of the very cause you exploit. Her gaze swept the room, where phones were still recording. You want a show? Then let the world watch accountability. She raised a document high. Effective immediately, all leadership positions are revoked pending investigation. Every donor linked to fraud or discrimination will be exposed to public audit. The era of elitist gatekeeping ends tonight, she declared. A few guests attempted to leave, but security blocked the doors. Ava nodded toward the live cameras. Stream it. Every word. No more secrets. The auctioneer complied, turning the microphones to Ava. Lydia Ashford used this nonprofit as her personal trophy case, Ava announced. Funds meant for struggling communities were diverted to luxury vacations. Historical pieces were hoarded instead of preserved. 6 years of evidence gathered quietly until someone handed me a bottle, Ava said. Lydia's voice cracked. Ava, please. I didn't know who you were. And that is why you fell, Ava replied. Your respect requires status. Mine requires humanity. The crowd's loyalty shifted instantly. Lydia's allies stepped back from her like she carried a disease. Ava issued one final command. Security, escort Miss Ashford from the premises. She is indefinitely banned from all charitable institutions under my control. Lydia screamed the moment her arm was seized. You can't do this to me. Ava didn't look as she answered. You did it to yourself. The live stream captured Lydia's removal while donors around her suddenly evaluated their own sins. Ava turned to the auctioneer. Bring the next item. He nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. Yes, ma'am. Ava raised her paddle once more. This time, no one questioned whether she belonged. She owned the room. She owned the auction. And she owned every eye glued to her.